Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and as always, I hope this video finds you well. Now I'm going to call it as it is, alright? I think this industry does a horrendous job when it comes to interviews. We ask softball questions, and in return we get PR-loaded statements from high-up executives. Websites have nothing to do with these stories, so they turn them into headlines anyway because you can't come home with a non-story, and then everyone's talking about a non-story. It happens often, but it's very rare that we see a level of transparency from a high-level person at a company we all care about like Xbox, as we've seen with Phil Spencer in his most recent interview with The Verge. Now, I'll have it linked in the description down below. I highly recommend you either read the entire transcript if you want, or just listen to it on their own website. It is really refreshing to see. And so in today's video, we're sort of going over that article. We're going over the highlights that I found were most interesting, from console wars and Phil's take on that to Game Pass, money deals behind Game Pass. A question I've personally had for a while is how exactly do all these deals operate? Is it profitable? All of that stuff. We get some answers on that. A little bit about Bethesda. What about Xbox delaying Halo Infinite out of the launch window of the Series S and X? Lots of very interesting Xbox-centric information to go over today, and I'm really hyped to dive into it because it's refreshing. It's refreshing to see this level of transparency, and it starts off right away when it comes to console wars. Let's see what Philly's take is on that. Speaking to The Verge, Spencer says he finds toxic brand loyalty to be distasteful and despises the idea that companies like Microsoft, quote, have to see others fail, end quote, in order to achieve their goals. Quote, that tribalism in the industry, if there was anything that would ever drive me out of the industry, it's actually that, end quote, Phil Spencer says. Quote, when a team releases something into the market for the world to tear it apart on the internet, it's just such a brave thing for a team to do. I'm never going to vote against any creative team or any product team to do poorly because I have a competitive product. It's not in me. I don't actually think it helps us in the long run in the industry, end quote. Phil Spencer goes on to say, I've said it before, it's not a two may enter, one may leave scenario. Could you imagine if you were the director of a movie and you wanted another movie to be so bad, people would, maybe directors do that, but pretty much he goes on to say that hopes it fails. In the end, we know there are millions and millions of people that are going to end up with a Switch, a PlayStation, and an Xbox in their home. Those are great customers. They're going to buy the games that they want on the platforms where their friends are, or where the exclusives are, or wherever it is. It's not a world where in order for us to win, Sony has to lose, or Nintendo has to lose, or Steam has to lose, or something. If it is, it's not really a Microsoft business. What I mean by that is Microsoft has this perspective. I mean, you look at our market cap, you look at the business we aspire to be. I can't target Microsoft and say, hey, the board of Microsoft, our enemy is this Sony company. We should go take them out. It's not even in our vocabulary to talk about Sony that way. They're a partner of ours, frankly, in a lot of different places. Our ambition is to be a global business that's growing, that's going through transformation, where Microsoft has some real opportunity to help with that transformation and play an important role. That's how we frame our opportunity in gaming. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Because this launch cycle has been toxic. Okay, it's been awful. You guys know my channel if you've been around here for a while. I think we're pretty much not controversial. We're not antagonistic, I know that much. I mean, we're very honest, we're upfront, and we speak by evidence and facts, but I don't think that's really a bad thing at all, quite honestly. But even I've been caught in crossfire between fanboys of both sides, where when I was doing my console reviews a couple weeks ago, I had people telling me that PlayStation gifted me my PS5 when I paid for it with my own money. Same thing with my Xbox, and I said this in another video, but that pissed me off, man. I was like, are you kidding me? I pay for all of my own stuff, man. Companies barely give me free stuff ever. You know, and when it does happen, I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I'm also incredibly transparent about it because you have to be. It's one of those things where people are like dying to see one company or another fail so the other can rise. It's so out of touch to attach your ego to any company. Let them compete. Let them give you the best possible product. If you're a PlayStation fanboy, you want Xbox to succeed. You want them to succeed. You want them to kick Sony wherever they can because guess what? PlayStation's going to try to do better. That's how it works. Same thing on the other end of the spectrum. There's nothing wrong with being a fan or saying, hey, I prefer this over this. That's fine because, you know, like Phil mentioned, wherever the exclusives are, wherever the services are, wherever what you care about is there, maybe your friends, that's fine. But this level of attaching your ego to a company and being like, I got you, PlayStation, let's go. Or I got you, Xbox, let's go. Oh, This launch, man, it bugged me. Usually I don't care, right? I'm like, give me my games. All right, cool. But like, thank God someone actually high up in a company had the guts to be like, this sucks. This sucks. Like, to call it actually toxic, to call it like what it is. Like, thank you. And I know we have a lot of creators and people in the community who say the same thing, but it's good to see someone who's heading pretty much the charge into the next generation for Xbox to be like, this sucks. All right, let's bring it down to earth here a little bit. Let's talk a bit about more positive stuff, like what Xbox is doing with their current lacking of exclusives at launch and how they feel about Halo, Game Pass, all that stuff. So let's continue reading this. Once again, very good interview. I will emphasize one more time, try to give it a read once we're done watching this video. From a business standpoint, I'm selling every console I can build. It's hard for me to point out how I would be selling more consoles today. I wouldn't be. There's also a fan promise, and that's not lost on me, that people want to see new great games that play on their new platform that they purchase. That's a commitment that we believe in. We've made huge investments in our first-party games and growing the amount of games that we can build that can be special on Xbox, that can be there for our Xbox fans so that they feel like they made the right purchase. Halo was a miss on our part. I wouldn't change the decision based on the right game, a healthy situation for the team, and how they're working. Absolutely, it's something that we had planned for. Bonnie Ross, who runs the studio, and I, to have Halo there. In the long run, I think what's going to happen is we're going to get a better Halo game at a good time when people can actually get a console. I feel good about that. I think the game will be better for the time that we're giving it. I'm incredibly excited about the lineup, not only of Xbox Game Studios, but we've also obviously announced our intent to acquire ZeniMax and Starfield, and great games that Todd Howard and the team are working on that people are going to go play on their Xbox. I feel good, really good, the best I've ever felt about our roadmap. But yeah, it would have been really great to have Halo at launch. All right, now in all fairness, we have heard Phil say before, best lineup, best Xbox this, best Xbox that. We've heard that before, and I think that's less PR and more just passion speaking and pure excitement for his brand speaking, because it seems like it could be honestly interpreted one way or another. But once again, his choice of words, selecting Starfield out of the bunch and then mentioning Xbox afterwards, I think once again, as we see the case-by-case basis go on, Starfield is likely going to be the first example of an Xbox exclusive, but maybe a Wolfenstein 3 will be multi-platform. I think it's going to vary over time, where if it's a new IP, maybe it's exclusive. But let's not get lost in that conversation. I really admire one sentence that was stated here by Phil, and it's that I think what's going to happen is we're going to get a better Halo game at a good time when people can actually get a console. That is awesome to hear once again. Now, these consoles are selling out, right? There is high demand for an Xbox Series X and Series S. Despite them not having games there, people are smart enough to see, let's look at the portfolio. Oh my God, okay, all of Bethesda. Oh, and they've got Obsidian, and they've got In Exile, and they've got Compulsion, and they've got the Coalition, they've got Turn 10, the list goes on. They have a lot of insane talent on board. People know how to use their head, and they see that and they're like, okay, that's a future I want to be a part of. Playground Games, I almost forgot to mention them with Fable. Like, it's insane. There is a lineup there. What I really like, though, is that while these Xboxes are selling out and there is clear demand there and there is demand for the PlayStation 5, it's obviously sold out. Probably more so because of the fact that, you know, there are games there. But now it kind of describes what happened maybe behind the scenes with that delay. Like, hey, we're in the middle of kind of something that's shutting down a lot of businesses. People are going to be not having enough money. Probably by 2021, as we get into that year, things in some way, shape, or form should return to a semblance of normalcy, I would imagine, based off what we're reading about the world and stuff and progression. Generally speaking, things should start to get better sometime around 2021. And by that point, maybe more people could afford an Xbox. And hey, it's almost like a second wind launch to be like, we're bringing out Halo. Imagine a holiday window in 2021 for Xbox where Wolfenstein 3 is there, you've got Starfield, and you've got Halo Infinite. That's far more exciting to me, and I can't speak for everyone, than launching in the actual launch window next to PlayStation with just Halo, which you could get on your Xbox One, right? I think there is a difference there, and it requires patience. That's been a whole thing of the Xbox brand, it seems, right? Just waiting it out. But once again, I really admire the perspective here of saying like, hey, we delayed this and people are going to get a better game, and it's going to be more people because that's going to be a time where more consoles are available and easier to acquire. And I think that's pretty exciting. All right, so now let's talk about Game Pass. Game Pass is something that I think a lot of people have had questions about when it comes to profitability. How exactly is the structure behind the money deals here? And it's not like Phil gives us a full top to bottom breakdown, but it's a little bit of interesting inside baseball on how he views Game Pass, what drives Game Pass, maybe something we could think about for the future, but also how some deals have worked. So let's go back to reading. Game Pass relies on third-party content. I want it to be that way. I want our third parties to have success. One of the things going back to previous CEOs, Bill Gates always had this good point of view that you're not really a platform until other developers make more on your platform than you do. It's one of the fundamental definitions of a platform. I think it's very smart to look at it that way. I think about Game Pass as a platform. It's not just a subscription on a platform. Pause there. This is why I still have my theory. Game Pass on Switch, Game Pass on PlayStation. Anyway, moving on. I want third parties to see the distribution and monetization capability of Game Pass as something that is accretive to their business and important to them. I, obviously as the owner of Game Pass, will invest earlier than third parties will, both when I put games on their service and the number of games that I need in order to create the flywheel that gets it to scale. We're investing in content because we're early in Game Pass and frankly, in xCloud. I need to have great content as an attractor to customers on Game Pass and xCloud and our consoles as well. When asked about how you pay out developers, he goes, our deals, I'll say, are all over the place. That sounds unmanaged, but it's really based on the developer's needs. One of the things that's been cool to see is a developer, usually a smaller to mid-sized developer, might be starting a game and say, hey, we're willing to put this in Game Pass on our launch day if you guys will give us X dollars now. What we can do is we'll create a floor for them in the terms of the success of their game. They know they're going to get this in return. In certain cases, we'll pay for the full production cost of the game. Then they get all the retail opportunity on top of Game Pass. They can go sell it on PlayStation, on Steam, on Xbox, and on Switch. For them, they've protected themselves from any downside risk. The game is going to get made. Then they have all the retail upside. We have the opportunity for day and date. That would be a flat fee payment to a developer. Sometimes the developer's more done with the game, and it's just more of a transaction of, hey, we'll put it in Game Pass if you pay us this amount of money. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Think about that. Now, I'm sure like Xbox is going to step up and be like, okay, AAA game, multi-million-dollar production. Here you go. Here's a blank check, dude. But to have smaller to mid-sized devs like an indie developer, as someone who wants to make their own game one day, the idea that maybe I could approach Xbox and go, hey, I would want to put that day and date on Game Pass. Like if I were to make a game, I would want a day and date on Game Pass because that's awesome. That's hype, right? That excites consumers. And for Xbox to be like considering, yeah, we'll help fund your game. That's awesome. Or if it's already there, that they'll, of course, pay a flat fee to get you onto the service. That is so cool. I mean, wow. The fact that they are actually paying for the development, that is great to see. That's healthy for our industry because he's not saying we're paying for development and then it's only on Game Pass or it's only on Xbox. He's saying we'll pay for development and then you could put it on PlayStation, Switch, PC, what have you. And obviously, like I said, he doesn't go from top to bottom. What is the split? Let's say they sell a PS4 copy. Does somehow Xbox get a little bit of that now? How does all of that work out? I'm not sure. But the fact that the company has the ability to invest in the Xbox ecosystem, Xbox will pay for the development of their game. Then they're safe there, right? Employee safety is a really tough thing to find in the industry. So they're safe there. And then they have the ability to make money off of the top of that by selling copies in stores, by selling them digitally. And you have that exposure of Game Pass where there are a lot of games displayed there. It's great, man. I just thought this was a really enlightening, exciting interview, and I had to share it all. I thought there was a lot of truth spoken here, and I don't know, something about it really excited me. I know it's not the gushy, big details that I like to really talk a lot about on my channel, of details of games, but I think Phil Spencer is saying a lot of great stuff here, and I think we've seen it backed up with certain actions as well. And I especially like his take on the console wars and all that stuff, because if you have industry executives saying that, I mean, you staking your claim on the Xbox territory or the PlayStation territory, like, look, if you're watching this and you're like 13, you're going to grow out of it, I promise, okay? But like, if you're older than that, these companies don't care. I don't know how else to tell you. They don't care, but got on enough about it. I probably sound really salty because I am. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to share this article with you. Once again, I emphasize for a third time this video. Please do give it a read or a listen. It's great stuff. And with that, it's time for me to sign out. So I pass it off to you. What do you think of this article? What do you think of what Xbox is doing? Fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all of the patrons as well as all of the members who continue to support the heck out of the content here and let me just get salty at Console Wars. Appreciate you. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.